No chance, no help, no escape.
Hello, kiddies. It's me, your old pal, the Crypt Keeper. And you're watching Rottin Roger DeMarco. 3 B's. Blood, boobs, and beasts. Roger, you beast, you're a bloody boob.
Hello, internet fans. It's your old pal Rottin Roger DeMarco here from 3bproductionco.com. And this week, we're going to be looking at Greydon Clark's 1980 film, Without Warning. Okay, so here is your plot synopsis. An alien is on Earth, murdering people on the countryside. Why is he there? Don't know. Doesn't matter. You have a 7-foot-tall alien. That's pretty much all you need to know. It's awesome. But before we get into my overall thoughts of the film, first, let's take a look at
Rottin Roger's Splatter Facts.
We have 8 dead bodies. We have 0 titties. Really? That's the number we're going with? 0? Not even 1 nipple. Okay, all right. We have alien teeth frisbees. We have creepy Landau. We have creepy Palance. We have gratuitous pigtails. We have bridge jumping. And we have my personal favorite, 2 elderly gentlemen fighting over a gun. Yeah. The methods of death include, but are not limited to, frisbeed, off-screened, face sucked, and exploded. Yeah. Okay, so now on to my overall thoughts of the film. We have 4 20-somethings going to the lake to swim and canoodle and things like that. We have Tom and Beth, and we have Sandy and Greg. Sandy and Greg are sort of being hooked up by the other 2, and they go on this trip to the lake to go swimming and hang out and fool around and hopefully start a relationship between these other 2. Unfortunately, a 7-foot-tall alien played by the late, great Kevin Peter Hall has other plans and comes and fucks them all up. For those of you who recognize the name Kevin Peter Hall, you're awesome. He was the person who played the Predator in the original Predator film. He's an amazing suit actor. This movie sort of gets forgotten, swept under the rug a little bit. But the alien in this movie is kind of a badass, even though you don't get to see him very much. It's important to bring up the fact that Tom was played by David Caruso from Session 9, a billion other things. Everyone will recognize him, but don't get too comfortable with him because this is one of his very first films, so he's not there very long. Get your eye full and just expect him to not make it. Spoiler alert. The most important thing about this film, other than Kevin Peter Hall, is the fact that Greydon Clark was able to cast Martin Landau and Jack Palance. They're in another one of my favorite films, Alone in the Dark. And anytime you just kind of cut the strings and let these 2 actors go bananas, you're gonna have a good time. So Jack Palance plays this old man named Joe Taylor, who is essentially a good guy, but he's off his motherfucking rocker. And he has this feud with his former friend, Sergeant Fred Dobbs, who's played by Martin Landau. Martin Landau knows and believes that there are aliens in this small town. He's not right in the brain, even though he's right. You know what I'm saying? The chemistry between the pair of them is fantastic, and they sort of steal the show. Rightfully so, because Greydon Clark took half of the budget of this film. Half to pay Martin Landau and Jack Palance. So that cut this movie's production value literally in half. I think it turned out very well because of that. Because instead of showing the alien a ton, we get a little bit more of a suspense-driven horror film. We keep the alien in the shadows, and it's not until like the last 20 minutes or so that we actually get a really good glimpse of the alien. You could say that it was Greydon Clark putting his best foot forward, making a Carpenter-esque horror film, but I think it was completely out of necessity because the money was not there. Either way, it's excellent. I love this movie. And speaking of John Carpenter's 1978 classic Halloween, Dean Cundey was actually hired by Greydon Clark to do the cinematography in this film. And that's also a testament to why this movie looks so goddamn good. This has one of my all-time favorite horror movie tropes, where the gas station attendant, which just so happens to be Jack Palance in this movie, plays the role of the Harbinger, Cabin in the Woods style, and says, you guys are going up there? I wouldn't go up there. Don't do that. I'm telling you not to go up there. It's not safe. And it's hilarious. At this point in time, it hadn't become a trope yet. So you're seeing it become a trope in this movie. I also really like the fact that in the movie there's this bar full of dipshit rednecks who refuse to call the police, even though, you know, you have two people who have clearly been through hell coming to this bar and saying, please help, our friends are murdered, we need help, and they wait and wait and wait to call the police. Like, on what planet is that rational behavior? Call the fucking cops, you dipshit rednecks. I also really like that these rednecks refuse to call the police, but they will let the drunk war veteran brandish a revolver. Like, that's just normal behavior. Won't call the cops because your friends have been murdered, but old Sarge over here, he can fucking wave around this revolver and talk about aliens and point guns at you. That's just Saturday for Sarge. This movie does fall victim to another one of the classic horror movie tropes of, we're here, we see something that we don't like, we run, we stop, monster catches up, we run, we stop, monster catches up. But on rare occasion, that actually works. And this is one of those movies where, due to budgetary restraints and things like that, Greydon Clark really stretched every single dollar and made the best of using the little shed where the alien stores the bodies, using the lakeside, using the vacation home, and using the bar. He really gets his mileage out of these locations. I do have to say that this movie is essentially the exact same plot as The Predator, except without badass, bicep flexing, oiled up army men. It's left in the dark just enough to leave you with questions. This was an essential drive-in theater type of experience. This movie really had to build that word of mouth. I do really like there is one spot in the movie where Jack Palance comes face to face with the alien, and they're gonna have this square off moment, and Jack Palance kind of gets this angry look on his face and yells, "Alien!" and runs at the alien. It is quite possibly the coolest yet most hilarious thing that I have ever seen. And then when you look more into the movie and you find out that Jack Palance and Matin Landau sort of, I don't know if they refused to run, or maybe they were just not in good enough shape to run. So they have actually the director, Greydon Clark, doing the running. So you get a close-up shot of Jack Palance screaming, "Alien!" motioning like he's gonna run, and then we cut to the back of him and it's Greydon Clark. Well, Greydon Clark is a little bit of a thicker guy, but I didn't know that it was a stunt runner until long after viewing the film. So now I need to go back and see if you can tell the difference. Yeah, so in my personal opinion, I think that this movie is 100% popcorn as fuck, because it was made for that drive-in audience. It was made for that communal experience. You know, we're all gonna hang out, we're gonna watch this movie. It doesn't have the biggest budget, but what the movie does is work very well with what it has. And it gives us a very memorable alien creature. It gives us fantastic performances by Matin Landau and Jack Palance. They do a very good job of making you care for these characters. Although, I do sort of wish that David Caruso's character got to be in there a little bit longer, but that's just selfish on my part, just because I knew the actor. I would have liked to have seen him do a little bit more. I really like this movie, and it elevated for me when I got the chance to sit down with Greydon Clark and talk to Greydon Clark about the production of this film, and also picked up his book, which is called On the Cheap, and it's all about the handful of films that he made and the struggles that he went through to make these films. It makes you appreciate this stuff just a little bit more. I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's fun. It does miss out on a little bit of gratuitous nudity, which for Greydon Clark directing this does surprise me, because he does put a little bit of nudity in his films from time to time. And this being a drive-in film, you would expect that, but not in this movie. But that's okay, because The creature design is fantastic. It's a fun, little, suspenseful horror movie. So if you haven't seen it, I urge you to find a way to check it out. If you have seen it and you don't have great memories of it, maybe dust it off and check it out again and see if your opinions have changed. But if you're interested in picking up a copy, click the link in the description and get a copy of Greydon Clark's Without Warning today. But I suppose I should probably get going because after all, there's a lot of movies out there and somebody's got to watch them. So why not me, right?